Well, folks, Harry and Meghan are one of the colossal crash and burns in public relations history. What's really funny right now is watching as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle just flame out. It's really, really entertaining.
Do you see me laughing, my nigga?
So they've been basically booted from Spotify because it turns out that they were a hoax and they had nothing to provide to the audience whatsoever other than sort of woke grievance mongering. Well, now people are speaking out about how useless they were. The Wall Street Journal has a long piece titled Harry and Meghan Produce a Hollywood Flop Themselves. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had been out of the UK for nearly 2 years when they began work on a project they believed could transform them from former royals to Hollywood power players. The subject of endless rumors and gossip, the couple felt qualified to tackle the thorny topic of misinformation.
Is y'all right upstairs?
Oh, these woke idiots. Misinformation. Misinformation from Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Meghan Markle claimed she'd never heard of Prince Harry when she started dating him.
So that was a f***ing lie.
A documentary would cement Harry and Meghan as serious creative types and help shed their reputation as exiles from the House of Windsor, trading family dirt for eyeballs. A team assembled to the job at the pair's LA-based production company, Archwell, had questions for H&M, as the Sussexes are known to their employees.
Boy.
Series. Who would host it? Would it be historical or contemporary? Would Harry or Meghan appear in it? Would Meghan discuss her bitter history with the British tabloids? And if not, who would want to watch? The couple had few answers. According to people familiar with the inner workings of Archwell and Harry and Meghan's deal with streamers, the misinformation documentary soon met the fate of other Archwell projects and faded away.
Well, duh.
Well, yeah, because their basic idea was, what if we just say slogans, right? What if we just go to the "In This House We" lawn sign and just read the slogans, but do it on film? After all, this is what they've been rewarded for their entire life. So why the hell not? If you just mouth the woke nostrums, why couldn't that be a 90-minute documentary? And then they're like, well, guys, there's no market for that. Like, well, we don't really have anything else. Prince Harry and Meghan's Hollywood foray is looking like a flop. They arrived in SoCal 3 years ago with Duke and Duchess titles and plans to capitalize on a cash-rich streaming business desperate for star power to lure subscribers.
Are you serious?
They got a $100 million deal at Netflix. They got a $20 million deal at Spotify. They have led to more cancellations and rejections than actual produced shows. So Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, became a bestseller, and then they had their garbage 6-part documentary talking about how terrible their life is, and that was at least somewhat popular. But then they had a graveyard of projects, including an animated children's show called Pearl, canceled by Netflix.
I got you, homie.
As well as at least 2 TV ideas that the streaming service rejected within the past year, people familiar with their project said. Netflix is unlikely to renew the couple's deal, which runs through 2025. The Spotify pack, meanwhile, produced a podcast, Archetypes, about these stereotypes that hold women back. A second season was discussed, but eventually nixed. And Bill Simmons points out that, like, behind closed doors, it was even more of a bleep show than it was publicly. People who have worked with the pair say their Sussex upon Sunset outpost was undermined by their inexperience as producer and trouble finding material consistent with their brand. Well, I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. Finding woke whiners to create material, that's like all of Hollywood.
That doesn't make sense.
But they say that the real problem is that they have no talent. That would be the real problem. When they struck deals with Netflix and Spotify in 2020, streaming services were booming. Executives were rushing to secure content and feed consumer demand at any cost. The Sussexes joined Barack Obama, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai, and others who fielded offers in Hollywood with few guidelines on what would come next. And then it turns out that, nope, it just completely fell apart. The article goes on and on about their failures of projects, but basically they had no plans. Now, the Obamas have a similar deal, right? The American form of royalty, Barack and Michelle Obama, they also have deals at Netflix and Spotify.
Wow.
They have made movies like Leave the World Behind, starring Julia Roberts, which I know you saw it. Oh, wait, you didn't see it because no one's heard of it? Also, Kevin Hart's Fatherhood and a child-oriented show, Waffles and Moki, and documentaries including American Factory. Has anyone watched any of these things?
I don't know.
Like, are these things even out yet? No one knows. But the Obamas are not allowed to fail. We don't care if Harry and Meghan fail, so we will allow them to fail.
Really, nigga?
So what happens next for them? Well, they're pretty screwed because they've basically exiled themselves from their family. They no longer have any dirt to spill. And their first animated show was supposed to be about powerful women of history called Pearl. It was created with the help of David Furnish, who knew the royal family through his husband, Elton John.
Oh, Lord. Again.
When the couple left the palace and signed the Netflix deal, Pearl was the first show announced, and then Netflix canceled it. Executives decided no one would care if the show they were watching had been produced by a duchess. So Harry and Meghan have burned it out. So not to be cynical, but look for the divorce proceedings sometime in the fairly near future.
Swimmingly, and yeah, sure.
Wait for it.
Or there was talk about one of Kate's uncles, and perhaps he'd done some things in Ibiza that maybe he shouldn't, but it all seemed to go very smoothly. As this wedding approaches, I have a slightly different feeling about it.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Now, it all started with a website in America called TMZ. It's a gossip celebrity website, and they go around Beverly Hills and LA and elsewhere and take a whole load of photographs of celebrities and well-known people. I have to admit I've been trailed around by them, and one or two photographs of me in LA that they published that weren't perhaps all that flattering. But, you know, that is the world of website gossip. It's not in any way...
Stop it.
...a mainstream media. And the story was that Meghan Markle's dad, Thomas, he's in his early 70s. He's a retired lighting director, worked in Hollywood, worked on some big films, actually. He's not had such a great time in the last few years. His health has not been great. Financially, things have not been good. And he's living in Mexico in, I think it's fair to say, fairly strained circumstances. But he's
That doesn't make sense.
never been, ever, in the front of anything. He was a tech guy involved in Hollywood. And the story was, as we saw a series of photographs last week of him being measured up for a suit, etc., the story came out on TMZ that, in fact, these photographs had been staged. And when I say staged, done in cooperation with a member of the paparazzi. Some people have said money changed hands. We've no idea whether that's true, whether it was a tiny amount or a large amount. But what we do know is that the Mail on Sunday ran this as their front page. Exclusive. Meghan's dad staged photos with the paparazzi. And that, on the front page of Britain's biggest selling Sunday newspaper, suddenly changed the whole game. Within 24 hours, we're getting Meg Dad.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
I won't go to the wedding. The next day we get I'll be there. That's quite clever, I suppose. I'll give him credit for that. We get I'm just too ill to walk Meghan down the aisle. And right now we have absolutely no...
Wait for it.
...idea whether the father of the bride is going to be there to walk her down the aisle. And I'm asking you, is this obsession that the media have with Meghan Markle's family now...
Very good question.
...now tarnishing what should have been a great day this Saturday? And if you think, yep, the tabloids are completely over the top with their coverage and their level of intrusion, then call me on 0345 606 0973, or maybe you think, no, it's all fair game, these people are in the public domain, then you can text to 84850. Or maybe you think, actually, it isn't really the tabloid
Here it comes.
newspapers that should take the blame for this, because after all, that's kind of what tabloid newspapers do. Why was Thomas Markle not protected in any way at all? Why, given the wedding in 3 days' time, has he not even had a rehearsal for walking her up the aisle, given that this event is expected to be watched by between 1 and 2 billion people globally?
Very good question.
Surely Buckingham Palace, with all their knowledge of the global interest that comes with royal weddings, surely they must have known that at some point there would be investigations into all sorts of aspects of the Markle family, but in particular that they'd be looking at Thomas Markle and indeed at her mother as well. And I have to say, you know, I do think that the tabloids are very intrusive in this country,
Okay.
and often use tactics of surveillance and intrusion that sail pretty close to the wind as far as the law is concerned. And, I've not always been happy with some of the things that they've written or some of the methods
Stop it.
by which they've gone about getting those stories. But isn't this really a complete and total mess up by Buckingham Palace? This guy should have been protected. We've seen in the past
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
all sorts of problems caused for the royal family by the media. Surely it was obvious this guy should have been protected. Now, what I'm told is that there were some press officers from the palace who were out with him up until 10 days ago, and then
You serious?
and they've left him. Surely he should have been here in London. Surely, he should have been looked after. And frankly, he's been thrown to the media.